For millions of years, the human foot had only one layer of protection between itself and the earth: skin. Every journey our ancestors made, across sharp stone, frozen ground, scorching sand, and thorn-covered landscapes, was made barefoot. Then someone changed the rules. We do not know their name. We do not know where they lived. And the first shoe they made disappeared thousands of years ago. But that simple idea, put something between the foot and the ground, would eventually change how far humans could travel, where they could survive, and even how their bodies developed. The strange part is that archaeology may never uncover the world's first shoe. Leather rots, bark decomposes, woven grass disappears. Unlike stone tools, early footwear was made from materials almost designed to vanish, so scientists searched for evidence somewhere else, inside the human foot. Anthropologist Erich Trinkhaus examined ancient human skeletons and noticed an unusual change. Earlier humans had relatively robust, smaller toe bones. But among some later Upper Paleolithic humans, those smaller toes became noticeably more slender while the rest of the leg remained strong. One possible explanation was footwear. Walking barefoot forces the toes to repeatedly flex and interact with the ground. Regularly wearing protective footwear could reduce some of that mechanical loading. Based on these skeletal changes, Trinkhaus argued that humans may have been regularly wearing substantial footwear by roughly 40,000 years ago. If that interpretation is correct, shoes existed deep in the Ice Age. Imagine what those first shoes probably looked like. There were no factories, no rubber soles, no metal eyelets. Perhaps someone placed hide beneath the foot, folded it upward, and tied it with strips of leather or sinew. In freezing environments, dry grass or fur could have been stuffed inside for insulation. The earliest footwear may have looked primitive, but its consequences could have been enormous. A protected foot could travel across harsher terrain. Hunters could remain outside longer. Families could move through colder environments with less risk of injury. Unfortunately, those earliest shoes vanished, but eventually conditions preserved some. In Oregon, archaeologists discovered ancient woven sandals associated with Fort Rock Cave. Made from sagebrush bark, footwear from this tradition dates back roughly 10,000 years. These were not random bundles of vegetation. The fibers were deliberately prepared and woven into functional footwear, showing that ancient people understood exactly how local plants could be transformed into protection for the body. Then, thousands of kilometers away, another remarkable shoe survived. Inside Armenia's Areni I cave, archaeologists discovered a leather shoe dating to roughly 5,500 years ago. It was made from a single piece of cowhide, shaped around the foot and tightened using a leather lace threaded through openings around its edges. Grass was found inside. Whether that grass primarily provided insulation, helped maintain the shoe's shape, or served another purpose remains debated. But the object itself reveals something important. By this point, people were not simply wrapping their feet. They were making shoes. And one of prehistoric Europe's most famous individuals shows just how sophisticated footwear could become. When Ötzi the Iceman emerged from alpine ice in 1991, researchers recovered not only his body and equipment, but remains of his footwear. His shoes combined different materials for different jobs. Leather helped form the outer structure. Plant fiber netting helped hold insulating grass around the foot. This was footwear engineered for a cold mountain environment. The basic principle feels surprisingly modern. Use a durable exterior, flexible construction, and insulation to create a protected pocket around the foot. But eventually, shoes became something more than survival equipment. They became symbols. In ancient Egypt, many people commonly went barefoot, while sandals could communicate wealth and status. Tutankhamun's tomb contained an extraordinary collection of footwear, including elaborate ceremonial examples. Some royal sandals even depicted enemies beneath the king's feet. Every step could become a political message. The Romans pushed footwear in another direction: military practicality. Roman soldiers used sturdy leather footwear, including hobnailed designs that helped provide durability and traction during enormous marches across the empire. At sites such as Vindolanda near Hadrian's Wall, preserved shoes have provided archaeologists with evidence not merely of soldiers, but of women and children living around the frontier community. A shoe can reveal who lived somewhere even when written history barely mentions them, and eventually footwear became fashion. Medieval Europeans famously wore exaggerated pointed shoes known as poulaines. Some became so elongated that practicality was almost irrelevant. That impracticality was part of the message. If you could afford footwear that made physical labor difficult, you were advertising that you did not need to perform physical labor. Shoes had become social language. Then industrialization transformed them again. For centuries, producing footwear required enormous amounts of skilled hand labor. During the 19th century, machinery increasingly mechanized shoemaking. One crucial innovator was Jan Ernst Matzeliger, who developed a machine capable of automating the difficult process of lasting, pulling and shaping the upper around a shoe form. Mass production helped turn shoes from relatively expensive possessions into products ordinary consumers could increasingly afford. Rubber created another revolution. Vulcanization made rubber far more useful for durable footwear, helping pave the way for rubber-soled shoes and eventually the modern sneaker. And this brings us to a strange irony. Humans originally invented footwear because our feet were vulnerable. But footwear may also influence the feet wearing it. Modern research into barefoot and shod populations has found differences in running mechanics and foot function. Although the relationship between footwear and injury is complicated, and scientists continue studying it, the important point is that shoes are no longer merely objects sitting around the human body. They interact with it. For tens of thousands of years, humans have been modifying footwear, and footwear has been modifying human behavior in return. We still cannot identify the first person who invented the shoe. Perhaps nobody truly did. Different groups facing freezing ground, sharp rocks, burning sand, and thorns may have independently discovered variations of the same solution. Put something beneath the foot. Tie it in place. Keep walking. Today, billions of pairs of shoes are manufactured using synthetic materials, automated machinery, global supply chains, and designs created on computers. Yet buried underneath all that technology is an idea so simple that a Paleolithic hunter could understand it immediately. Somewhere tens of thousands of years ago, a human looked at the dangerous ground ahead, looked down at two vulnerable feet, and created a barrier between them. Then they took another step, and suddenly the world became a little easier to cross.